with your lawyer or in a secure place where it can be easily found when needed. Lastly, update your will regularly. Life changes. Marriage, children, new property. Your assets and liabilities won't stay the same. So make sure your will keeps up, because when life changes, your will should too. A will gives you peace of mind. Ensure your family and your wishes are taken care of. Create one today. For guidance on estate matters, you can contact the Administrator General's Department at 922-1830-3 or 922-0700-5, or send an email to admingen@cwjamaica.com.
Adoption is still seen as a taboo topic in some parts of society, but many families are now choosing this path, and you can too. In our next feature, we break down the adoption process and what you need to know if you're considering it.
Thank you for your interest in adoption in Jamaica. Please download the adoption guidelines below, which are intended to assist you with the completion of your application form. You are required to complete and enclose the following documents: application forms, child's medical forms, adult's medical forms, any other information relevant to your case, such as affidavits, birth certificates, death certificates, and court orders. That's the beginning of your adoption process. You are now on your way to becoming a child's legal guardian.
Adoption is a very special process. It's a very significant step that persons take in their lives, and it is very rewarding. And I would implore persons who are interested in adopting to go for it. And as I said before, go for it with an open mind. Misconceive adoption because the stigma that is attached to it, in that persons, I don't know, maybe it is a cultural thing, but persons don't willingly talk about adoption. It's mostly a secret, and you find that people go away with the wrong ideas, in that persons believe that maybe the process is too long, maybe they believe that we should not have such a rigorous process. But you have to understand it's a life commitment, and you want to ensure that a child being adopted is being placed in the best possible placement. Close adoptions are adoptions that are basically done in Jamaica now, in that no information is given to either the adopters about the biological parents, and the biological parents don't know about the adoptive parents. The process for adopting overseas is basically very similar to the process for Jamaica, whereby you are needed to fill out the form, get the necessary supporting documents, birth certs, marriage certs. However, overseas applicants need to ensure that they have home studies, because that is the way you're going to find out about the overseas person's background. So they would have to get the services of a home service provider, especially for those in the US, and that home service provider will give them a comprehensive information about their, including police checks and everything. So they need that. And then after that process, they will submit it to us, and it will go through the regular, rigorous process of identifying the birth parents, doing the necessary interview, visiting the child, getting the child's opinion, and then all of that is summarized and placed in a report along with the case file to the adoption board for approval. Persons who are allowed to adopt children in Jamaica are single male, female, couples, persons over 25 years. If you are a relative, you have to be 18 years and over. The adoption board is a body established in the Act that has to give approval for all adoption applications before they can go to the court for finalization. The adoption board is the only agency that is authorized to approve adoption cases. So there's no other agency that has that authority.
Let adoption work for you. Visit the Child Protection and Family Services Agency website at childprotection.gov.jm or visit the agency at 48 Duke Street or any of the parish's offices island-wide to learn how you can start the process.
Their feelings, because every child deserves to be heard. Build strong minds through care and support for a safer, brighter future. It starts with us. Protect their minds, shape their future.
Do you own land and need a title? Well, the National Land Agency NLA can help. Through the systematic land registration process, the NLA will assist residents to get titles in declared project areas across Jamaica. Systematic land registration is the methodical and orderly registration of parcels of land in a designated area known as systematic adjudication area. For further information on the systematic land registration process, including declared systematic adjudication areas, who can apply and the benefits, visit the National Land Agency's website at www.nla.gov.jm or email asknla@nla.gov.jm. The National Land Agency, one agency, one goal.
Workers' Week 2026 is now being observed across Jamaica and will end on May 25. This year's theme is Voices Heard, Shaping Labour Policies in an Evolving Labour Market. Today, the fifth staging of Frome Reflections was held at Workers' Park in Frome, Westmoreland, the historic location linked to the 1938 labour protests that played a major role in shaping workers' rights in Jamaica. This weekend, Jamaicans who are 100 years and older will be recognized for their contributions to the country's workforce and development over the years. The activities will wrap on Labor Day, May 25, with community projects taking place across the island. This year's Labor Day focus is on sports and community development under the theme, One People, One Purpose. In all things, Jamaica wins. So, join in on the activities and help Jamaica win.
This Labor Day, plan something that will last for generations. From May 18 through to the 29, the Forestry Department will be having a Labor Day seedling distribution. Individual members of the public can collect up to 5 seedlings for free, including 1 fruit tree, from the Forestry Department nursery while stocks last. Collect yours at the agency's head office in St. Andrew or its locations at Williamsfield in Manchester and Monique St. Anne. Distributions will take place Mondays to Fridays from 8:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. There will be no distribution Monday, May 25. For more information, visit the Forestry Department at forestry.gov.jm, call 876-618-3205, WhatsApp 876-995-8521, or email the department at fdinfo@forestry.gov.jm.
This is where we wrap up today's program. I hope you've been informed, inspired, and uplifted. Join us again tomorrow for another engaging edition of Jamaica Magazine, right here on this station. If you missed any part of today's show, you can catch the repeat and more stories at jis.gov.jm. I'm Audrey Williams. Thanks for watching, and as always, walk good.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.
This week on Farming Forward, we're coming to you from, whoa, look at that. We're coming to you from Riverdale in St. Catherine. And we'll be talking to that young entrepreneur you just saw. He was picking breadfruits, but I can tell you about the chickens that he's been caring for all these years. He'll be talking to us about real yard chickens. Farming Forward. We're brought to you by Nutrimix. Tell me, Nutrimix. The big feed. The big feed.
Tonight on Small Biz, Big Dreams, we meet Peter Gay, whose pastry business will make you have a sweeter day. This is Small Biz, Big Dreams.
For the past 6 years, Peter Gay Dickinson has been operating her food business, Love Live Families, seafood, pastries, and more. Starting in 2020 from her home kitchen, Dickinson says she built the business through hard work, dedication, and a love for cooking.
I lost my husband back in 2021. So in order for me to heal, I started watching YouTube videos of cakes, and then I just launched off doing it. I didn't went to any school or anything, and that's how I healed from my pain.
What started as a small home-based operation has now grown into a business offering seafood, pastries, and a variety of meals to customers looking for home-style flavors. Dickinson says family support and consistency have been key to keeping the business going.
I offer slushy, pastries, customized t-shirts, engraving, wedding bouquets, wedding cakes, everything. So we're gonna put on our gummy bears. Let me use a different one. Yeah, let me use this. Right, you know the kids, them love the gummy bear. Them love the gummy bear, but. And let me get the worm. Them always want worm. And everybody favorites, the coconut flakes. So the coconut flakes are the best. Let me just top a little Oreo for the goodies. Yes, I think this one is fine because you know we don't want to put a lot of excitement on the top. So we're gonna just work with this.
As her business continues to grow, Dickinson is encouraging other aspiring entrepreneurs to trust the process, stay focused, and believe in their dreams.
God first. Put God first in everything you do, and He will lead you in the right path. So you can find me on TikTok, Peter Gay Dickinson, and you can also find me at Love Life Family Seafood on Instagram, or you can contact me 876-381-9948.
Next week, we meet another business, so you don't want to miss this.
But until then, for Small Biz, Big Dreams, I'm Kevin Black.
Every dream conquered is another dream gained. I land and I fly again like a jet plane. Headed straight in your direction, 'cause I'm wiser, one step closer. I'm winning 'cause I work so hard, and the music keeps on playing, and the people that I say we are mash up the dance. Oh, what a feeling! Don't stop dreaming. Keep on believing in the power of the feeling. Whatever you want, take a chance. Song in your heart, step in your dance. You got a spark, don't put it down. Shine your lights on.
Lucozade, bring the energy. Unbeatable taste, new look.
Jamaica's unemployment rate has fallen to 3.3%, down from 13.2% in 2016. Our government's continued focus on job creation is delivering real results. We are building Jamaica. The Time by the Office of the Prime Minister.
Tonight on Lead Story, a growing political firestorm over the Firearm Licensing Authority report. Why has Parliament still not tabled this report more than 50 days later? And does sub judice still hold? Later, the death of Latoya Boldrin asked many Jamaicans to contemplate what would happen if you were around someone who needed emergency help. We'll have EMTs inside Lead Story to talk to us about what you do if someone needs help. And then we take you through the week in review as we mark Labor Day tomorrow and observe it on Monday. What does that mean for the nation? I'm Jody Ann Quarry, and this is a delayed start to Lead Story. The government is pushing back against claims that the delay in the tabling of the Firearm Licensing Authority Integrity Commission report is an attempt to hide information from the public. On March 30, 2026, the report was submitted to Parliament. It was formally received and signed for at 1:02 in the afternoon. 53 days have now passed. Today, President of the Senate, Tom Tavares Finson, defended the decision not to table the report and said Parliament would not bow to intimidation. Parliament has said that 5 Integrity Commission reports in total had been received, but 4 are already tabled. They were tabled on Wednesday. And the last report, they said, is being addressed in accordance with Parliament's internal processes. The position of both presiding officers, House Speaker Juliet Holness and Senate President Tom Tavares Finson, is that the decision not to table was taken jointly in consultation with the clerk and Parliament's legal officers and is informed in part by active court proceedings related to the report. Critics, however, argue that Parliament is a sovereign body and that delaying the report undermines transparency and public trust. Joining me now is Leader of Government Business in the House of Representatives, Floyd Green. Minister Green, welcome. Thanks so much for joining us inside Lead Story. Unfortunately, not able to hear you at this time, Floyd Green, as you speak with us inside the show. Wanting to make sure that we, yes, are hearing you right now. Glad to be able to have you join us inside the show. We're watching this conversation. You have come out about it. President of the Senate, Tom Tavares Finson, has come out about it as well. And a report still remains untabled. On Wednesday, 4 of 5 Integrity Commission reports were tabled. Those 4 reports relate to non-payment of failure rather to file statutory deductions by 4 individuals. The FLA sent out a press release today saying that's not their business. But why was that 5th report, involving what we understand to be alleged corruption and irregularities at the FLA, not tabled?
I think I want to make a few points clear. I think once people hear about Integrity Commission report, sometimes we may automatically believe that it holds something sinister, something bad, and as such we use that to determine that if the report is not tabled, there is an attempt by the government to hide something. And I want to assure the Jamaican people that there is no attempt at suppression, there is no attempt at hiding anything. Again, other reports have come in and reports have been tabled. The Speaker would have made a ruling in 2023 about how these reports will be treated with. She indicated that there would be a review and then the reports will be tabled as soon as possible. I think today the President of the Senate, Tom Tavares Finson KC, gave a fulsome explanation of how we've arrived at this point. And I think some things jump out from the explanation. One, I think it is the consistency of Parliament in how it treats with these matters. And what do I mean by that? So clearly, a report has come in and it has been communicated to the Parliament that the report is the subject of ongoing judicial proceedings. The question is, how does the Parliament then treat with the report? The Parliament will have to, as it does in reviewing the report, the presiding officers of both the President and the Speaker of the House will consult with the clerk, will consult with the legal officer of Parliament to determine what's the best way forward. Now, you will have to reflect on the standing orders, and the standing orders outline a principle that is applied in relation to debates, in relation to questions, and that principle is that nothing should be done in debate or in questions that would prejudice an ongoing court matter. And I believe that in the reflection of the presiding officers, they would reflect on whether tabling the report would prejudice or would frustrate an ongoing court matter. And they would use that, Jody, in their determination of whether the report is to be tabled at this time or the report is to await ongoing proceedings before it is tabled.
In 2017, we had the Ian Hales matter. That's a precedent for not tabling a report. In that case, though, the court granted an injunction ordering Parliament not to table the report. In this case, there is no such injunction that has been issued. The court hasn't said anything. You're only hearing about this, we understand, because the FLA, the Firearm Licensing Authority, has indicated to Parliament that there's an active court case. But the principle of parliamentary sovereignty is that you can go ahead, especially since court cases and the work of Parliament don't overlap. What do you say to people who are then watching this and saying, in the Ian Hales case, the court says Parliament should go ahead, and you don't even have an injunction here, and you are now not allowing for the public to see this report?
Well, the first thing I want to show the consistency with the Ian Hales case. So the Ian Hales report came to Parliament in February. Ian Hales did not get an injunction to stop the tabling of the report until the end of March.
And this is in 2017?
In 2017. So the point is, there was a period between which the report came to Parliament, and Ian Hales got an injunction that Parliament determined that it should not table the report. Why did it make that determination? The grounds is the same. Ian Hales would have indicated to the Parliament that he has started a matter to ask the court for the report not to be disclosed. What it therefore means is that if Parliament had gone ahead and disclosed the report before the matter was heard, then one, the injunction would have been of no moment, and Ian Hales did successfully get an injunction. So if Parliament had tabled the report before, what Parliament would have in essence been doing is one, frustrating the court matter and deciding the matter before the court had opined on it. The principle is the same.
Consistent, you argue though, Floyd Green, but in 2017, when this injunction had now been granted to Ian Hales, 2023, 6 years later, is when now that report was finally tabled in front of Parliament. And the decision in that case effectively said Parliament doesn't have to wait for the court. So we're not going back to 2017. In 2023, we have that precedent.
Yeah, but Jody, we're on the same page. Parliament is sovereign. In other words, Parliament can decide to table and can decide to not table, right? What would be the circumstances that Parliament decides not to table? Because I think for all of us, members of the public, we would want to ensure that if Parliament decides not to table And we agree that what the court says is that this is in the purview of Parliament. It is intra-virus. In other words, the presiding officers are the ones empowered to make the determination whether to table or not to table. So what I think we want to be clear on, if there's a determination not to table, what is the reason?
All right.
And what Parliament has done is to be consistent. The reason is, if tabling the matter would frustrate an ongoing court process, then Parliament has decided not to table in those circumstances.
In those circumstances, you haven't tabled, but we also have Senior Attorney at Law, King's Counsel Michael Hilton, putting his opinion in the ring, arguing that Section 54(4) of the Integrity Commission Act uses the word shall, meaning the obligation to submit a report to Parliament for tabling is mandatory. How does the government reconcile that statutory language with now the decision not to table, if you're saying that the court case makes a difference, but we don't see that language anywhere else?
No, but it says shall, but it does not indicate a time frame. And what King's Counsel Hilton said is that time should be in a reasonable time. And then the legal question is, what is reasonable? And reasonable would have to be taken into account all the considerations, including the ongoing court matter. And I like the position of learned King's Counsel Lloyd Barnett, who is probably our best constitutional lawyer, definitely the most accomplished, who said, when he was asked about it, to give an opinion on it, that Parliament should not move to frustrate the process of the court. So while we both are separate and sovereign, we would not want Parliament to be moving in a manner that would allow, let us say, any public officer who feels that their rights have been infringed, and they take that matter to the court and they ask the court to make a determination, and which includes non-disclosure of the report. And before the court makes that determination, Parliament determines that it will disclose the report. I think the better approach, and what the Senate President has said, is that the presiding officers will continue to review the matter. My understanding is that the matter goes up before the court next week, and then when the matter goes before the court will have an opportunity to opine on it. Then the presiding officers will take that opinion in, and they will look to see if tabling will still frustrate the process. And if it does not, I'm very sure they will move forward to table the report. And I think that would fit into the prescription by the Integrity Commission Act that the report shall be tabled, but that, as Sir Hilton said, in a reasonable time.
It took 6 years for the Ian Hills report to be finally tabled in Parliament. Is that the timeline that we're looking for here?
No, it took 6 years. Let us be clear. It took 6 years because Ian Hills got a court injunction, which prohibited the Parliament from tabling the report. So if you get an injunction to prohibit the Parliament, then that's different. Now, in this instance, the Parliament, just as before Ian Hills got the injunction. So this is where the principle is the same.
So this is parliamentary discretion effectively that we're operating within?
Not parliamentary discretion. We're operating as per the Ian Hills case with the law that says Parliament controls its own proceedings in these matters, and that the presiding officers have the intra-virus power to decide, and the presiding officers have said they decide after consultation with the legal officers of Parliament. And I think what we want, Jody, is not that because Ian Hills is a PMP MP and the government is JLP, that the Ian Hills does not get the same sort of accord that you give now to the FLA. What you want is consistency. And what I see as a consistent principled position is this. If a matter is before the court in relation to a report, and the tabling of the report would frustrate or prejudice the matter, then Parliament should delay that tabling until the court opines on the matter. Doesn't mean until the matter is at an end. If the court opines and gives an injunction, then Parliament is bound by the decision of the court. If the court, as they did when they finished the Ian Hills matter, says that there's no merit in this case that was brought, then Parliament, as soon as that judgment came, tabled the report. So I think what we see here is Parliament acting consistently.
Well,
and I think the principle is clear.
I'm certain that there are many Jamaicans now who welcome you spending time explaining the position of the government on this. And as leader of government business, you've had to do a lot of heavy lifting, as this has been a matter in the House, now moving to the Senate and having both presiding officers now dealing with it. But Floyd Green, leader of government business in the House of Representatives, thank you for explaining this position and going through this with us inside Lead Story. After the break, if someone collapses, stops breathing, or is seriously injured, would you know what to do before help arrives? We're going to help you figure that out next inside Lead Story.
Jamaica, make we do the right thing. Make we live good today for a better tomorrow. Talk it out, don't fight it out. The time by the Ministry of National Security is 6.
Lucozade, bring the energy. Unbeatable taste, new look.
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winfred Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than
when help has not yet arrived. The death of Latoya Buju-Bulgin in Granville, St. James on Sunday has sparked national conversation and public anger. But tonight, we want to shift from outrage to preparedness. If someone is shot, collapses, stops breathing, or suffers a medical emergency, what can you, an ordinary citizen, actually do? The Emergency Medical Services and Safety Training Institute, EMSSTI, is working to change that. Operating in both Jamaica and Florida, EMSSTI offers internationally aligned training in CPR, first aid, basic and advanced life support, emergency medical technician certification, and emergency medical response. Its programs are aligned with the standards of the American Red Cross, the U.S. National Registry of Emergency Medical Technicians, and the U.S. Occupational Safety and Health Administration. The Institute's motto, educating today, saving lives tomorrow. Joining me now from EMSTTI are Marco Dane Miller and Sinead Powell. Hello, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. We're happy to be here.
Now, part of the big conversation, without speaking to any specifics of any investigation, yes, you guys are the people that will help us figure out when something happens, what to do first. So what should a person do when they come upon someone who's seriously injured? Marco, I start off with you.
So for example, if you have somebody that has a gunshot wound, or if there's severe bleeding, you need to stop that bleeding immediately. So what you would want to do is to add direct pressure to the wound. For a layman person, you can use a clean cloth, you can use a clean handkerchief, or you can use like a towel. So what you want to do is to fold that towel into a compact and apply.
So really small area?
Yes, so if it's a really small area, you can fold the towel into a compact and then you apply pressure to the wound. right? Now, the direct pressure that you're applying to the wound is for it to stop the bleeding. Should it stop the bleeding, then you can rip a shirt and use that shirt as a wrapping for the wrap, to wrap the area and tightly knit the area. Now, after you stop the bleeding, if you can also do the ABC, so you can check if the person is conscious.
Yes.
For responsiveness, you can check for airway if they're breathing properly, and if the airway is patent. No, you're not
What's
a professional.
patent mean?
I mean it's open, clear. Sorry.
Remember,
open.
You're the professional and you're talking to so many of us who might be around someone who they might be passing a car accident. They might have a loved one at home who's fallen. They might see someone who suffered from a gunshot wound. You are telling them what is patent don't mean anything to us, Margaret, and if you don't help us figure
It's clear.
out.
The airway is clear, and there is no obstruction.
Okay.
Right? But once there's a severe injury, you need to call 119, or if you have an EMS number like a ambulance service, you need to call an ambulance service. If you're going
at the same time, so you're trying to stop the bleeding, but you're making time for the emergency services now to come and to assist.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I think that's so important for persons to hear that we're not asking you to be Superman or Superwoman. We're not asking you to have a medical degree. We're asking you to give that person a little bit more time until emergency services now get to show up. Shanae, for many people though, they heard what Mark Dane just said and they said, all right, great, I don't want to touch them. I don't want to make something worse. I don't want to not know the right thing to do and then get involved in a situation like that. They panic when they first have this sort of experience around them. What's the first thing you'd ask them to remember if we're now training them and teaching them to be a little bit more prepared in circumstances like these?
So the first thing that we want them to remember is that every second counts. Every second matters. So you are always going to be the first person who is on scene. Right? So if in the event that there is an emergency, your first response is to act, not to panic. So what we want is to raise that awareness for individuals, for young people, for children, whether you're in school, whether you're an adult, a bystander, and especially now where we have, if something happens, the first thing that people do now is to take out their phones and they start recording.
So they're instead of intervening to assist, they're much more interested in reporting and being first on the scene to tell what happened, not be able to save lives.
Right, so what we want them to do is to respond right away.
All right, help us then figure out how to respond. I won't be lying on the floor, but you do have somebody that can be lying on the floor to show us now, to help us visualize what it is that you're talking to us about. Because so many people, you've just explained, they need every second counts. We're keeping them alive until emergency services come. But in their minds, they've watched TV. The people go, huh, 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 and then the person is revived. You might be able to help us be a little bit more useful in those circumstances. So we have someone who cannot speak to us today, but will be part of your presentation. So bring your dummy on and allow us then to be able to see what it is that we're looking at.
Barry.
So Barry.
Yes.
Barry is our friend, and Barry is. So hold on now. My production team says, so you hold Barry. Barry looks stressed out. Barry looks like he's going through enough. So Shanae and Marco Dane. All right. Barry is here on set with us. First, talk to us about why having a dummy like this, instead of just using words to talk, matters so much when explaining to people how important this is.
Visual learning is important, just as explaining. Sometimes when you explain, if you use certain terminology and certain jargons, it can confuse the person that is listening. But when you're using terminology with demonstration, they will more likely understand what you're trying to explain. And practicing and doing the demonstration can actually get them prepared for the circumstance ahead.
All right, that practice makes perfect, and perfect practice makes perfect.
Absolutely.
Is what we want to see. All right, so Barry, there you go. Barry is here with us. First, show us if we are meeting up on someone. Let's say a loved one in our home has collapsed.
Yes.
What do we do first?
All right, so the first thing you need to do, which is very important. So I need to explain a few things.
Yes.
For the professionals and for the people at home.
Yes.
CPR, which is cardiopulmonary resuscitation. You have hands-only CPR for persons who probably are not trained and don't have a barrier device to give breaths. So that would be compression until the person either revive, the person either collapse and our EMS reach and take over the scene and actually start supporting that, or until the bystander get tired. So it should be continuous until the bystander either get tired, EMS reach, or there's no more further help they can give.
And Shanae said every second counts, so you want to be putting those seconds in, allowing EMS, emergency medical services, to get there. Barrier device you're talking about though, Barry, there we go. Barry seems to have something over his mouth. Is that what you're talking about, is a barrier device?
So I'll get the device.
Because we're having this conversation, Shanae. Hold on, I'm just putting Shanae here for a moment, because we're having this conversation. People are watching this and saying, all right, you're going to show me something. But what happens if I don't catch it right now, Shanae? Where can I come to be able to get additional help and support? Because, hey, I'm looking now at what Mark Dane is doing. Maybe the way he put him hand, I never got to see it as perfectly that time. How do they get help and support now to either get training or then to become better at this?
All right, so they can visit our website. So we're on Instagram, so that's EMSSCI14 on Instagram. We have our email that you can reach out to us at info@emsci.us.
Yes.
And then you can always call us. So that's 398-3595.
And I think that's so important, because people are watching right now going, I live with somebody who's older. I might need this help. Or I have seen someone be the victim of a gunshot wound or some other wound, a knife wound, and I didn't know what to do. They can then be trained. There were also discussions that said maybe people didn't even know that training existed in Jamaica. Mark Dane, talk to us about that, because so many people, this is brand new to them. They see it on American TV, they don't see it here. We have this here.
Yes, we do.
Good. Why?
Because it is important. The EMS system in America is way advanced, and we'd like to see Jamaica to that level as well, where the layman person, the person in home knows to do CPR, they know to do simple first aid. They know that if somebody has a knife wound with a knife stuck in it, they shouldn't remove it. They should try to wrap around it. They should try to compress around it. And they would know that if the person collapses, and they can check for breathing, they can check to see if there's any rise and fall of the chest. If the person is unconscious, they know that they can start CPR. And as for adults, it's 30 to 2 breaths. So you would give 30 compression.
You have to demonstrate first, because Barry is here and Barry's hearing us talk about saving his life, but Barry's on the floor, Mark Dane. Barry needs help. So help us quickly understand those first key seconds. If I see someone now who's collapsed on the floor, Mark Dane, what do you want us to do?
Scene should be safe. You should ensure that the scene is safe, that you're approaching a scene that is safe, that you don't put yourself in danger.
So in the middle of the road with cars running by, this is not the best place to do this? Okay, great.
So you should never put you, the rescuer, at risk.
Yes.
No.
So Barry's on the floor. How we save him?
So we approach Barry, and we would kneel to the side of Barry, and we would do the top shout method. So we say, "Sir, are you okay? Sir, can you hear me?" No response. So what I'll do, I'll open the airway to look if there's anything in the airway. And then I'll open the airway as well to look, listen, feel. So I'm looking for rise and fall of the chest, and I'm looking to see if there is any air coming out, right? And then from that, well, I'm a medical person, so I could check the carotid pulse as well, which would be right between the windpipe and the neck muscle right here. So you could check here to see if there's a pulse. If there's no pulse, you immediately start CPR. So what you do? You rest the palm, the heel of the hand, in the middle of the chest.
Hold on. Mark Dane, before you take us through, I want an uninterrupted walkthrough. I'm going to take a quick break here inside Lead Story, allowing Mark Dane and Shanae to show us what you do to be able to help someone's life, keeping them safe and alive, as Mark Dane Miller and Shanae Powell from the Emergency Medical Services Safety Training Institute join us live in studio here inside Lead Story.
Watagwan. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8 a.m., 1:30 p.m., and 10 p.m. on CVM TV.
Every day we use our feet to walk, run, and take us places. But your feet can do something even more amazing. Join Guardian Group's Shine 5K Night Run Walk and make a stride to support KPH, the Falmouth Hospital, and Project STAR. Saturday, May 23 in Kingston and Saturday, May 30 in Montego Bay. Register at run2shineja.com or runningeventsja.com and see you at Guardian Group's Shine 5K Night Run Walk.
Markadane Miller and Shanae Forbes from the Emergency Medical Services Training Institute are here with us in studio. We have considered it to be so important, having seen now instances where bystanders wanted to help but couldn't help or didn't know what to do in order to help, to bring that help here in studio with a set of people who have emergency training on the ground here in Jamaica for you to learn from. And they're going to help us resuscitate Barry, a dummy on the ground, but a great demonstration of how you, if you're in an emergency, can help someone around you. So Markadane and Shanae are here. Markadane, you were on the floor a moment ago beside Barry, who is not looking so well. No. Save Barry.
All right, so approaching Barry, realize that Barry is unconscious. So I'll kneel to Barry. I say, sir, are you okay? Are you okay, sir? No response. Open the airway to see if there's anything in the mouth. Open the airway, look, listening for rise and fall of the chest.
And you're looking to see if there's any obstruction. So if it's choked on something.
Yes, if there's any obstruction, I'll use the hand to do a sweep. But you're not supposed to do a blind sweep. You're supposed to can see what you're taking out.
Okay.
And then you open the airway now to see if the person is breathing properly, if you feel any air coming out, and if the rise and fall of the chest. And for me, I'll check the carotid pulse near to me. So this person is unconscious.
Hold on. For all that you're doing it gently, because sometimes you see people roughly move people and fling their head this way. None of that.
They shouldn't, because that can damage the spinal damage. Yeah. Right? So you can have spinal damage when they're moving the patient also. So you want to make the patient be on a rigid, flat surface, and you demonstrate, you do the CPR process.
Okay, so saving Barry.
So Barry is unconscious, not responding. So what I'll do, I'll start CPR. And I ask her to call the EMS or the 119 and get the AED for me.
So you need the police. So Shanae's calling the police first, making sure that the seconds that he's saving Barry now are seconds that emergency help is on the way.
Absolutely.
Okay.
11, 12, 13,
So what are
14,
you doing? You've put your fingers interlacing in between one another.
So that's chest compression.
How have you done it? Where have you decided to choose to put this on his chest?
So you use the heel of the palm in the middle of the chest. Right here, between the chest bone right here. And then you use the other hand to interlock the right hand. And then you lock the elbows and lean slightly forward in front over the patient. And then you press hard, fast, and deep. It should be at least 2 inches.
All right, so super hard then, like 2 centimeters. Because 2 inches sound like you might be breaking something.
Yeah, no, you might break her rib.
2 centimeters.
You might break her rib. That's okay.
So because you're keeping that person alive.
Right.
2 inches.
So you're pressing 2 inches.
2 inches.
Pressing all the way down. Yes. Pressing really deeply to be able to get through to the heart now, to be able to do this resuscitation.
Yes.
All right. So you are pressing on Barry now, and so somebody at home can do this, and you're pressing a lot. How quickly are you doing it?
So it's supposed to be 100 to 120 compression per minute. But
that's really fast.
Yes, that's really fast, and it's 30 compressions to 2 breaths. And that would be like around 5 cycles or so.
Okay. So you're pressing on Barry now.
Yes.
Can you show us again what you're doing on Barry?
So I'll count to 30. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. When you grab the barrier device, you don't put it below the chin, you put it slightly above the chin. You use 2 C-clamps.
So you're covering slightly above the chin, covering the nose completely.
Yes, and then you tilt the head with a head tilt chin lift, and then you see 1, and then you do
Where would I have this barrier device? Are you suggesting that people, so they should have it in their car, for example, for emergencies, and they should make sure that they have something like this at home?
Yes, it comes in a decent first aid kit.
All right, so you see, even that, a decent first aid kit might not even be something that people have at home. So you have to show us what a decent first aid kit looks like, that it would involve this. You sent Sinead though for something. What's that in her hand?
This is the AED. But we also want to note that a lot of times when emergencies are happening, you're not prepared.
Yes.
So in the event that you don't have a barrier, we don't want you to not act. We want you to act because the risks are very low for you to contract something. So what we want to do, what you to do is to just respond immediately. That's the key.
Mouth-to-mouth resuscitation is what we often see on television, where people are putting their mouth on other people.
Right.
I see you've used that. Good. I see that you've used that barrier device, but people on the TV, remember, TV shows are often where people will see EMSs and EMTs, and they'll see somebody putting their mouth on somebody else. Your first response was they shouldn't. Why?
All right. So remember, you have like saliva, you have different, you can have other issues with persons. You don't know them.
Bad breath.
Bad breath.
I don't want to kiss you.
Yes.
I don't want to touch you like that.
So,
and that might be a reason people don't get involved at all if they think they have to do that.
That's true.
Okay. So you have that device in your hand. Sinead has said this might be something to help. What do you do when you have something like this?
So once you reach, I would continue chest compression, and then she would put it flat on the ground. She would turn on the machine. This is a practice one.
Adult patient.
So it will tell you instructions.
If the patient is a child,
yes.
Press the child button.
And if you look at the pads, they tell you exactly where to put the
so it comes with its own instructions. So when you're panicked, you don't have to be conscious and cognizant of what you need to do.
Yes.
And I think that's so important.
Do not touch the patient. Analyzing heart rhythm.
And I think that's important. If you could just turn it off for a second first. Right. So this is what emergency services then would automatically do afterwards when they come on the scene now, because she's called them, they show up on the scene, they have these things. I welcome you to stand up now. Marco has been on the floor saving Barry this entire time. Let me get clarity from you both now.
Yes.
Sinead, how involved have you seen people be over the past few years in now wanting to have this sort of emergency help and assistance available to them? What do they need to do? How have you seen people be interested in this?
Well, we have been doing some school tours. So our first stop was at Kingston College, and the students, they were immaculate. They were receptive, they were eager to learn, and they wanted to help. We gave them scenarios, what should happen if a student gets stabbed, because we see the violence is increasing in our schools. If a student gets stabbed, what do you do? If somebody is literally just choking, we have simple methods that you can do to save someone's life, and oftentimes we lose lives when they don't have to.
Marco Dane, you just showed us how to save someone's life. Sinead has made it very clear that you're going out. You're not waiting for people to think of a bright idea. You're going out to them and saying, listen, this is involved now. This is what you can do, and we're teaching you. Make a pitch to now corporate Jamaica or schools or churches and other groups who have people who need this information but might not have even known that this sort of training and the certification is available on the island. Talk to them.
All right, so it is very important for us to get these skills. For example, there was a recent incident where there was a bunny eating competition, and the person had an incident of choking.
And the man unfortunately
died. When it was just a simple technique that they needed to use to actually help him, and they didn't have to rush him to the hospital to get that. Right? These skills are life-saving and very much important. Sometimes there's a lay person or the person who is not trained or the bystanders might feel helpless. You're not going to be helpless. You can actually make a difference with this training, and you can save lives, family, friends,
everybody,
etc.
And I think that's so important. Sinead, remind us of how we can contact you once again, for anybody watching, seeing now, having heard Marco Dane, now understanding why it's so important to have this information.
All right, so you can give us a call at 398-9545, or you can visit us at Instagram. So that's EMSSTI14. And you can visit our website as well.
Sinead Forbes, Marco Dane, Miller, thank you so very much for joining us from the Emergency Medical Services Training Institute. All right, let me run through some things now and go through how it is that we have been able to make our way through the last week. Now, the last week forced Jamaica to confront a series of questions
about power, preparedness, and public trust. We begin where the week where it began in Granville, St. James on Sunday, and that's why we're having the discussion about saving lives today, because 45-year-old Latoya Bulgin, known in her community as Buju, was fatally shot by a member of the security forces. CCTV footage of the incident circulated widely and shocked the conscience of the nation. The Independent Commission of Investigations has launched an investigation. The officer concerned has been interdicted. Indicom has confirmed that none of the 3 police officers present were wearing body cameras. They're appealing for witnesses and additional footage. Now, that investigation is active and we'll continue to report it and follow it here inside Lead Story. The FLA report. Well, we discussed that in depth tonight with Floyd Green. That's now been in Parliament's possession for 53 days. 4 of the 5 reports have been tabled. This big one, though, we haven't seen it. We've heard the government's position on it. We've heard the opposition's position on Wednesday with Peter Bunting. The Jamaican public, though, still doesn't know what's in the report, and we're being told we don't have a date just yet. But we're watching to see what the 2 arbiters in the lower and upper house will say. But Parliament has been a hot place, because it's also the stage for a confrontation that became a cultural flashpoint. On May 13, Member of Parliament Nikisha Burchell of St. James Southern began her maiden sectoral debate contribution in Jamaican Creole. Speaker Juliet Holness cited the standing orders and brought her to a stop. The debate over the Creole in Parliament, though, escalated far beyond language. And it's become a conversation about who Parliament is really for and whether our democratic spaces still reflect the people they serve. This week, though, it ratcheted up. MP Burchell took her criticism of the Speaker onto a public podcast and drew a comparison between Speaker Holness's conduct in the chair and the behavior of a wife controlling her husband. That remark, though, was inappropriate. It was out of bounds, and it did nothing to advance legitimate and important conversation about language, identity, and the standing orders